Ladies and gentlemen, our very distinguished guest, the Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, Mrs. Bell-Irving, His Highness Prince Karim Aga Khan, Her Highness the Begum Aga Khan, are now joining us.
It is with deep happiness that I welcome you all today, gather here to mark a very happy and significant event in the history of our faith and in the history of our community in Canada. I would like to thank you all very warmly for having responded to our invitation in such large numbers and to have chosen to share this very happy occasion with us today. I would now like to request Mrs. Khurshid Nurali to come forward and lead us into the singing of O Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now resume your seats. Mr. Suleiman Jamal will now read the recitation from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة بها مصباح المصباح في الزجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Suleiman Jamal. The President of the Ismailia Council for Canada, Mr. Zulfikar Lalji, will now present the welcome address.
Your Honor, Your Highnesses, Your Worship, distinguished members of the Federal and Provincial Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. It is my very pleasant and privileged duty this morning to welcome you all on behalf of the Ismaili community as we are gathered here to mark an event of deep spiritual and historic significance for the members of our faith. Today's ceremony will mark the establishment of our first Jamaat Khana to be built in Canada, which has been designated as one of our national Silver Jubilee projects to commemorate the Silver Jubilee of His Highness the Aga Khan. It is indeed appropriate that this Jamaat Khana should be in Burnaby, since our first congregation was organized here some 10 years ago. As you may be aware, the majority of our community migrated to Canada as a result of political upheavals in East and Central Africa, and more particularly Uganda, in the early 70s. It was our faith which gave us, so many of us, a sense of hope and courage to make a new beginning in this country amongst new people who have welcomed us so readily. The facility, once completed, will enable some 400 Ismaili families of Burnaby to observe our faith in dignified and contemplative surroundings. The importance of our faith and its observance in our daily lives, irrespective of one's origin or station in life, is of fundamental importance in Islam, which calls for the respect of all faiths and all beings. The daily prayer is an act of submission to Allah, the Creator. We believe that communion with the Creator is possible through prayers and meditation, for ultimately the purpose in life is to be one with the Creator and to merge with Him like the rivers into the great oceans. For many of us, we are, for the first time in our lives, enjoying the democratic freedoms which in today's turbulent world is a privilege for the few. We are confident that given all the advantages that we as Canadians enjoy, our community will continue to contribute to the social fabric by ensuring that we develop a balanced outlook of life and thereby contribute to the well-being of the general community of which we are an integral part. I wish to thank the Lieutenant Governor, Mrs. Bell-Irving, His Highness the Aga Khan, Her Highness the Begum Aga Khan, Mayor Lewarne and Mrs. Lewarne for gracing this occasion with their presence. I also wish to recognize the efforts of numerous individuals for the tremendous encouragement and assistance that we have received in advancing this project over the past several years. This is a building of which we will be proud and one of which Burnaby will be proud, and inshallah will set standards for future Jamaat Khanas to be built in other parts of Canada. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, President Lalji. His Worship, the Mayor of Burnaby, William Lewarne, will now present his welcome remarks on behalf of the municipality of Burnaby.
Mrs. Bell-Irving, Your Highness and Her Highness, Senator Perot, and the Honourable Grace McCarthy. Your Highness, it is my pleasure today to speak on behalf of the Council and the citizens of Burnaby to welcome you to our community. This is a pleasurable day for all of us. We're extremely pleased that we now have the foundation set for this house of prayer. We feel that with the hardening and strengthening of the concrete will also cause the religion, the Ismaili religion, to strengthen in our community. We are privileged in our country to have the rights of religious freedom, and the Ismailis will find that the strong tradition will be experienced in Burnaby. I'm privileged to be here today and to show our pleasure in having this mosque as one of the two 25th anniversaries of His Highness. We are pleased, I'm sure you're pleased, and we hope that we will see the building coming out of the ground very shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Lewarne. His Highness the Aga Khan will now address this distinguished audience.
Your Excellency, the Honourable Senator Perot, the Honourable Mrs. Grace McCarthy, Deputy Premier of British Columbia, Your Worship the Mayor of Burnaby, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a particularly significant and indeed happy occasion for the Ismaili community in Canada and for my wife and for me. I am most grateful to Your Excellency, the Lieutenant Governor, for honoring us with your presence and for performing the foundation ceremony of the Burnaby Jamaat Khana. Your presence, Your Excellency, and the presence of so many other distinguished guests underlines the understanding and cooperation that has been so generously extended to my community. It is a demonstration of the tradition of religious tolerance and the right of freedom of worship, which are both allowed such eloquent expression in Canadian society. Islam is all-encompassing in the direction which it gives to man's life. It is perhaps this very concept that the West, more familiar with the Augustinian Christian principle which separates the spiritual and the material, finds difficult fully to understand and appreciate. I say this not in any spirit of judgment, but rather in clarification. Islam therefore guides man not only in his spiritual relationship with God, it also guides man in his relationship with his fellow men and in his relationship with the material world around him. It encourages enterprise, but warns that enterprise without a social conscience is not acceptable. It is in this respect where Islam's message applies to all aspects of man's life that he will be judged, not just on what he does, but the manner in which he does it. It is right and appropriate that the imamate should be concerned, as indeed it is, with many aspects of the life of the Ismaili community. I succeeded my grandfather to the office of Imam in 1957, and just 2 weeks ago, on the 11th of July, I entered the 25th year of my imamate. During the Jubilee year, many new projects will be launched which will impact the material quality of the life of Ismailis, as indeed of many others, in the fields of health, education, housing, and rural development, particularly in the Third World. Why then should today's simple ceremony on the periphery of Vancouver in Western Canada be so significant to so many members of my community and to me? In the past 24 years, Ismaili Jamaat Khanas have been built around the world. I have only very rarely attended the foundation ceremony of a Jamaat Khana, and I have never traveled so far to do so. But this is the first project to be launched during this Jubilee year, and it is very important that it is a place of worship. Burnaby also has a particular significance, since it was here, as has already been mentioned, that the first congregation of my community was established in Canada. The significance of this ceremony is further enhanced by the fact that this is the first Jamaat Khana to be built in North America, in Canada, a country of the New World, which has extended the hand of friendship to countless peoples from all over the world, including Ismailis, welcoming them when turmoil, racialism, bigotry, or envy were destroying their lives. And while Canada may not be unique in welcoming the victimized to her shores, where she stands very nearly alone is in her encouragement to her new citizens to maintain their traditions and customs, an encouragement that is, in my view, a particularly wise and mature expression of democratic freedom. As a consequence, Canadian Ismailis have become, in a relatively short span of time, fully integrated into this society today, and they play a responsible role as citizens of this country. While it is true that they have been assisted in this by their industry and strong tradition of self-help, none of this would have been possible without the understanding extended to them. Today's ceremony is therefore a source of deep satisfaction for my community and me. In Islam, man is answerable to God for whatever he has created, and this is reflected in its architectural heritage. Many of the greatest architectural achievements in Islam were designed to reflect the promises of the life hereafter, to represent in this world what we are told of the next. Since all that we see and do resonates on the faith, the aesthetics of the environment we build and the quality of the social interactions that take place within these environments reverberate on our spiritual life. It is with this in mind that the Burnaby Jamaat Khana has been conceived. A great deal of work and thought has gone into the planning and design of the building that will rise on this site. The underlying objective has been to develop a religious and social facility for the local Ismaili community, which, while blending harmoniously and discreetly with the surrounding environment and making full use of materials indigenous to the area, will still reflect an Islamic mood and add yet another dimension to the varied architecture of the Lower Mainland. The challenge has been unusual, and I feel that it is one which has been successfully met by the prominent Vancouver architect, Mr. Bruno Freschi. Mr. Freschi is in a way symbolic of the strengths that come from the very diversity of the Canadian way of life. Born a Canadian citizen, he comes from an Italian Catholic background. He has the professional quality and personal sensitivity to create in highly typified cross-cultural situations, having already designed a Sikh Gurudwara before this beautiful Ismaili Jamaat Khana. Because of our traditional concern with our environment and the impact it has on us and on others, we have thought that this building should enhance the aesthetic quality of life in the neighborhood. The new building will stand in strongly landscaped surroundings. It will face a courtyard with fountains and a garden. Its scale, its proportions, and the use of water will serve to create a serene and contemplative environment. This will be a place of congregation, of order, of peace, of prayer, of hope, of humility, an important focus in the social and religious life of the local Ismaili community in Burnaby. It is my hope, a very deep hope, that it will become a symbol of a growing understanding in the West of the real meaning of Islam. I would like to thank the Mayor and the Municipality of Burnaby for their assistance, understanding and cooperation in respect of this project. I also extend my good wishes to all those associated with the realization of this Jamaat Khana. I now invite His Excellency the Lieutenant Governor to perform the foundation ceremony. Thank you.
Your Highness Prince Karim Aga Khan, Your Highness Begum Salima Aga Khan, Honourable Senator Ray Perot, Honourable Deputy Premier Grace McCarthy, Your Worship, Mayor Lewarne, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished persons all. My wife and I are delighted to be with you today for several reasons. May I first give thanks to
and congratulations to the remarkable staff work which we've been witness of that has led to this day. Tremendous job of work, and a small personal note of thanks to Farouk Vadji, who has done a great job in getting me to the right place at the right time. A very... As the representative in British Columbia of Her Majesty the Queen of Canada, I think it's most fitting that I should have this honor of welcoming to British Columbia once again Their Highnesses, the Prince Karim Aga Khan and the Begum Salima. It's important, ladies and gentlemen, that Canadians should be aware and thus fully appreciative of the enormous influence, both spiritual and temporal, exercised by the Aga Khan, with the constant support of his lovely Begum. The benefits extend far beyond the confines of his devoted Ismaili congregation. We're delighted to be part of this celebration of the Silver Jubilee of His Highness Assumption of the Imamat of the Shia Imami Ismaili Muslims, to be with you on this historic occasion, the commencement of construction of the Jamat Khana, which is to rise on this site, as a beautiful and lasting reminder of this Jubilee, as a spiritual and no doubt social center in part for many of your Ismaili community who came to make their homes in British Columbia just 10 years ago. We celebrate also this Canadian decade, the first Canadian decade of the Ismaili majority population in British Columbia, with high hopes for the years ahead. This land, ladies and gentlemen, is a rich land, rich indeed in the natural resources of the world. It's also free. Every person is free to earn and enjoy a living in line with his or her talents, initiative, and hard work. The natural resources of our land are not by themselves able to keep our population in the high standard of living to which we have become accustomed. The production of wealth requires a constant input, initiative, and hard work from those of us fortunate enough to live in this magnificent land. The land and its inhabitants working together. A large majority of your Ismaili community has brought with it a strong work ethic, and in many cases, a remarkable business acumen. May I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to guard and keep these attributes as a major contribution to your new country, Canada. Don't give them up. We talk of the Canadian mosaic, the multiplicity of cultures and ethnic backgrounds which are encouraged to flourish side by side in Canada. This is much in evidence in British Columbia. It is important, however, that we should all communicate with each other. Let's strive constantly to make friends among all our fellow British Columbians, all Canadians, no matter where they may have come from. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen of Canada, I salute your Highnesses with warm congratulations on your many good works throughout the world. And may good fortune attend all your devoted Ismaili community in British Columbia. I now have the great honor to join His Highness the Aga Khan in unveiling this plaque which will signify commencement of construction of the Ismaili Muslim Jamat Khana, which will be an inspiration for many generations to come to this community in the service of Islam and Canada. Your Highness.
Mawlana Hazar Imam and the Lieutenant Governor, in good humor, defer the pleasant task of unveiling the plaque to each other, and finally, hand in hand, jointly pull the cord to reveal a very beautiful marble plaque.
I would like to request 4 lady members of our council who are notorious for doing very hard work but always behind the scenes. I would like to request Anardosa to present a bouquet to Mrs. Bell-Irving. Mrs. Bell-Irving is constantly seen at her husband's side whenever there is a public occasion, however great or small. Miss Anardosa.
I would now like to request Ms. Farida Jamal, a member of our National Council, to present a bouquet to Her Highness the Begum. Her Highness's dedication to the welfare of the community, and especially a concern for the less advantaged people throughout the world, is a source of much inspiration to us all. I would like to request Dr. Zainul Muhammad, a member of our National Council, to present a bouquet to Mrs. Lewarne. We all know that a wife's support is vital for an elective office. I would like to request Mrs. Gulshan Pirani, a member of our council, to present a bouquet to Mrs. Farida Lalji, and would like to appreciate and recognize her unstinting support to her husband's honorary work. I assure you he has not aged prematurely. He was grey long before he assumed the presidency. I would now like to request our lady member of the Supreme Council, Mrs. Khatun Parpia, to introduce the gift which will be presented by His Highness the Aga Khan to the Lieutenant Governor to mark this very happy occasion. This particular gift is very Canadian. It is made out of some of the finest British Columbia jade. It is an eagle, which is typical of the Pacific Northwest, and carved by our well-known Canadian carver, Robert Dubé. If I may say so, it is symbolic of the tremendous amount of flying that His Honor and Mrs. Bell-Irving do from Victoria throughout our province.
In appreciation, to remind all concerned of what His Highness was kind enough to say, that British Columbia has, Canada has, said welcome to the Ismaili community. I think we can remember that we owe our guests this hospitality on a continuing basis. And as the representative of Her Majesty in Canada, or in British Columbia, it's my privilege to receive tokens which are really for all British Columbians. And this is certainly a gift signifying great thanks to British Columbia. And I receive it on that basis. It belongs to us all. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw to the close of our ceremonies, I would like to quote from Mark Twain. He once said, "Everybody always talks about the weather, but nobody ever does anything about it." Well, Your Honor, we know all good things come from Victoria, and we're delighted that you brought the sun for us here today. I would like to thank all our very distinguished guests
for having joined us on this very special moment, on this very special day. And I hope that when you leave today, you will have happy memories of this occasion, and we look forward to seeing you in the not-too-distant future for the first Ismaili Jamaat Khana to be established in North America in 1400 years. It would be appropriate for me at this point of time to recognize a few of our very distinguished guests, and they are our old friend, the Senator Ray Perot and Mrs. Barbara Perot, our ever-smiling Deputy Premier and Minister, the Honourable Grace McCarthy and Mr. Raymond McCarthy, and two former mayors of Burnaby, whose encouragement has been vital to the success of this project. They are former mayors David Mercier, and of course his wife Mrs. Mercier, and former Mayor Tom Constable and his wife Mrs. Constable.
Ladies and gentlemen, the platform guests will now briefly review the work in progress and will be led by the Secretary of the Regional Council for British Columbia, whose pride it is that this Jamaat Khana will be located in his region. He'll be accompanied by Bruno Freschi, the architect. I would now kindly request you all to remain seated for a few minutes. Thank you, and God bless you all.